I hear that. I have been a doctor for over 30 years. I'm 62 years young. We don't speak old. Unless you're 100. If you're 100, we let you be a senior. But if you're in your 60s and you're getting all the senior benefits, I say keep it up. So when I was 19 years old, I started getting sick. And I started developing a condition called sarcoidosis. How many of us have heard of this condition, sarcoidosis? Bernie Mac died from it at 50 years old. And at that time, I used to smoke cigarettes, Cools. Before they banned cigarettes in the working place or everywhere else. And everybody smoking outside. I used to smoke Cools. And I was about 100 pounds overweight from about 17 years old when I really started making a few dollars and wanting to be a connoisseur. I wanted to be a connoisseur of everything to eat and drink. Everything. I wanted to eat everybody's culture's food. So I started out, you know, already had soul food down. So I started eating some Mexican food. You know, they got a lot of cheese in their food. And I started eating Italian food. And I ate some French food, and it wasn't as exciting as the Italian food. One thing I got stuck on was pizzas. And you know, that's a new, for young people, that's cheese. Cheese.
With meat.
Yeah, with that. And I remember my wife, she wasn't my wife then, she was like my girlfriend, and she wanted to take me out. So she says, I'm taking you to Uno Puno. This is this place on Rush Street, a pizza place, real swanky, deep pan. I had never had deep pan before then. I go and eat this deep pan pizza, and it is too good. So I had extra piece too. 2 days later, I was very sick. Couldn't breathe. This is when I go to the doctor. He says, you have sarcoidosis. He says, we need to put you on prednisone. And he says, can't keep you on prednisone too long because it can affect you negatively. And he said, you might live to 50. Bernie Mac died at 50. So you might live to 50. So I said, well, what caused this sarcoidosis? He says, well, we don't know what caused it. He said, but don't worry. Whatever caused it, we got medication for it. We got some prednisone, and we're working on some new medications, and you might make it to 50. So at that time, I was very intrigued because I was young, 19, with a condition that mainly affects African Americans, that they didn't know what caused it, and that I was on this heavy drug called prednisone, and I might only live to 50. So I said, I need to investigate this. So then I started talking to some of my friends. I said, do you know anything about this sarcoidosis? Very few black people today. How many of you all know about sarcoidosis? Know that it's mostly a black people disease, like sickle cell anemia. And so they say, we don't know too much about it, but we know this person who knows about breathing. Because the sarcoidosis affects your breathing. And it affects it to the point that it pains you to breathe. It affects you to the point that you need a respirator, portable respirator. So they say, we don't know too much about sarcoidosis, but we know this Swami who teaches yoga. And he's a master of breathing. He can teach you how to breathe better. So there was a Swami in Glenview, Illinois. And this Swami came over from India, and he was world-renowned, named Swami Rama. This particular Swami got PhDs from Oxford, from Cambridge, and how many of you have heard of biofeedback? Biofeedback? They did the research on this Swami to develop the biofeedback equipment. This Swami could raise his blood pressure to 300 in 2 minutes and lower it back down to 80 within the next minute. He can change the temperature in his hand in 2 different places at the same time. He could go into meditation and his brain wave would register that he's asleep, but he would be totally woke in what they call super consciousness.
Is he still living?
No, he passed. But anyway, started teaching me about this breath and about that he says we only breathing 5% of the power of our breath. That all of us are only using 5% of our power. The 95% we're not even using. And so he said, I'm going to teach you the secrets to the breath, and when you